Uh, Now I will invite Dr. Santosh Attavar sir. He is he is the chairman and managing director at Indo-American Hybrid Seeds. You know everybody. They are doing wonderful work, particularly with respect to ornamental crops in addition to the field and vegetable crops. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to ATPBR. I think it was a wonderful inaugural session yesterday, and I'll try to stick to my time as far as possible. Of course, the previous two presentations were just excellent and very informative. And I just must tell you that my father was also a grape grower, Thompson Seedless and Anabe Shahi. We've eaten a lot of it when we were young. And I think today, after seeing your presentation, I'm now tempted to plant at least a small patch of fresh grapes for myself. And I'm glad my wife is not here because she's been telling me for almost 10 years, plant some grapes, plant some grapes. But today I think that message is clear. I have to plant some. So I already told my guys here, my team is here. But this is the first time I'm speaking on ornamental plants. I'm always speaking on seeds everywhere we go and seeds and related matters. So I'm wearing a different hat today. So as I get started, I'd like to talk about, I think this is okay. Plant research, especially crop research, because I realize that there's a lot of planting material available that can be grown in India. We have 15 agroclimatic zones, and I was just reading up 72 subzones in India, which means it's an opportunity for plant production. Now, according to me, potted plant production, especially flowering plants and ornamental plants, flowering plants first, there's a lot of research already that has been done, a lot of breeding work done by several big and small companies for several decades now, and material is available. So I chose that topic because that is the need of the hour with the current geopolitical situations going on, the cost of production being a major factor in Europe, energy costs. I think India is in the right place at the right time to really step up the game plan. Yesterday we spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat several times. I think it's good for us to keep reassuring ourselves. But also I believe that we need to have several activities converging so that we succeed in this field of plant production and export. The other key to increasing variety of products is IP. Sooner or later, we need to have a very strong IP protection in place so that people are comfortable giving us their genetics. And this is whether it's seed production, whether it's plant production, cut flower production. Any scientist who's developed a product definitely wants the product to be protected. Similarly, a company or a public institution, you work for years and years, develop a product, and someone else hijacks your genetics. Not only hijack, they also make a lot of money out of it, and you don't see a cent due to the royalty factor or several aspects. I don't want to get into it. But IP is very critical for us going forward. And I feel that once this comes into play, I know the government is working on it, it creates a very conducive environment, and also we get a very good reciprocative effect, as mentioned by Dr. Kaundinya yesterday, that sooner or later, if we don't have these bells and whistles in place, then other countries are also going to start cutting us off. And for example, you imagine if you breed a very good plant variety or a grain variety or a pulse variety which is not having protection, and you take it to Africa, which is really starting to grow, or some of the other countries, Africa as a continent and several other countries, then we'll be at a loss. India will be at a loss. And the concerned people with the intellects will be at a loss. So wherever I go, I try to just highlight the IP part so that it's beyond farmer rights, which are very critical, but at the same time, it's also about the rights to the scientist who's put in years and years of hard work, okay? So that's the initial part. Now, I'll show you a few slides. If you can see, India is, I don't want to read this out. I'm going to take a lot of time. So we tried doing a lot of research to get information on potted plant export, flowering plant export, and we couldn't get much information. And maybe that's a sign that it's a very nascent industry. I'm talking about potted plants being grown in substrate media, soil-less, lightweight, and suitable for export, like target areas, maybe Dubai, Doha, Riyadh, maybe Bangkok, Hong Kong, because today we are in that position where the technologies are there to produce it at a very, very minimal expenses, with many very minimal expenses, and bring out the quality. Last 8 years almost, we've been working on perfecting potted plant, production. And it's been a real long learning curve, but we are at a point now where we are confident that India, because if we do it, everybody else can do it, and if we all do it, then India moves forward and gets a bigger percentage of market share. We might be insignificant today, but if we don't address the issues involved, it's going to definitely take much longer, and then by then someone else is going to steal the thunder from us. Okay, so this is the current status. These are the major centers. You can take a look for yourself. We are the largest, second largest flower growing country after China, and 14th globally. Again, I think majority of this is cut flowers. And these are the exporting countries mainly. So these same countries here could be also potential areas, maybe barring the US because of the distance and the cost. Europe is very close by today. There are flights out of Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi. And the idea is to integrate growing zones of subtemperate, temperate crops and supplying them through the facilities and exporting them. And I'm saying this confidently because we've already started test market shipping to Korea, which supplies Japan for tissue culture plants. We are supplying already into Dubai, Doha, Kuwait, all test shipments, and Kenya, just to see how the plants reach there, how's the quality of the plant, because the Europeans have set a fantastic benchmark. But today, benchmark is one thing, cost is another thing. So these, I think we can't read this, but this presentation is available for everyone. I'm sorry if you can't read it. But yeah, you can see the global flowers and ornamental plant market. You can see the slide here, and you can see that we are a very, very minuscule, a very small player, which also is the enthusiasm we should have that we can do it. Definitely, we can achieve more. Now, the SWOT analysis, what we've done is basically for the agroclimatic conditions which I spoke about. Agricultural land is available in plenty. Availability of labor at low cost. That is now. But I feel with maturity and with more exports happening, this will really help us to increase the quality of life and liberty for people involved. Then the other one is, after the, you can read for yourself the opportunity part. Then the weakness is, of course, the flower markets are unorganized, more air freight charges. We need to definitely step up storage facilities, and capacity building has to happen. And also the supply chain has to be streamlined. And one of the big threats we find is the fluctuating prices, and in ornamental plants, also the plastic flower plants. Please don't buy them. My advice is buy a real plant that's growing, breathing, and doing good when you see it every morning, because if you see a red rose every day for 365 days in a plastic rose, it's not adding any value. Buy flowers, buy plants. Of course, it will also help our business a little bit, but it will also help other nursery people, everyone. Together, we all grow. Okay. Now, here again, I would like to talk about the new varieties. As I said, already there's plenty of material that can be produced very well in India. Then the sophisticated, we use the word sophisticated, but I want to mention that sophisticated doesn't have to be expensive. It has to be affordable, because your cost of goods sold has to really, that makes a difference. So, and that's possible today because technology costs are coming down in India. Lot of availability of material required for this is available. And of course, there are Indian and international players who have very good infrastructure, like what Cravo spoke about yesterday, to do quality production. The other, of course, important is the plant quarantine requirements and smoothing of export logistics. So there are several topics in that, but that is an area which has to be addressed. Each one will have a lot of drop downs if you analyze it, but I don't want to get into the depth of it. This is just an initiation, a real primer on what is the scenario for people who want to get into it. So we are, like I said, we don't use any soil. It's all substrate media, high quality fertilizers, all sourced locally. We don't import anything, which was a big problem 20, 30 years ago. We had to import a lot. But today we can grow it and we can sell it and still make a little bit of profit within India. But if that caliber can be exported, we'll really get a very good response. This is the root zone of poinsettias that we produce for during Christmas time. These are, of course, the PC Naga for export. These are the varieties. This is our tissue culture house in Bangalore. These are ferns planted in jiffy. And this is important. We've invested a lot in PEQ facilities so that we can get young plants and then do the, conditioning, taking care of them. We have PEQ visits and then we get the plant for production, for sales. These are grafted cacti. And these are very, very well maintained, and constantly we have very good people taking care of it, good trained staff. Just a close up. These are orchids where we get young plants and get them ready in India. And also for export. Of course, this is Dr. Solanki's visit from Nirmal Seeds recently. So we spoke about seeds for more than 1 hour, and then I said also you take a look at some of our poinsettias. These are the anthuriums that we are producing. And this was recently also used widely in the Terminal 2 in the airport, Bangalore, for the Prime Minister's inauguration. This is the finished plant. And these are also non-flowering type ornamentals that we are growing. There are several varieties. So what we need is the development of export processing centers and training for people. I think it's very important. We need to train people. I think that's very critical. See, one of the important things is we have the good fortune of having good education. Most of us here, we have good education, but there are several people in India who don't have that good fortune to get educated, but maybe they are, just high school or middle school. We need a lot of training to be done. It's just like a Mali training centers of the past, where people have to be trained, empowered in media, using how to grow plants and, on several aspects. So this will create a lot of opportunities, and we feel there's a big gap. In Bangalore, I think 90% of the gardeners, they are big scamsters. They'll come and they charge huge amount to just water the plant. They say fertilizer, people don't know what they're giving. And this is the reality. But more so, if we become an industry, it's going to hurt us. Because you have to have a trained capacity, you have to do the capacity building, and also capacity development where we need an upgradation. So I feel it creates a lot of job opportunities, and also rural youth, with a lot of unemployment issues can be addressed through this. And I'm talking across the board. I'm not just talking about potted plants now. I'm talking about plants, nursery industry, and everything. We need that skill sets to be developed, like the vocational training, which my late dad used to always say the big gap we are going to have here is going to be, between the managerial level and the labor who does the work, the supervisor, foreman level. We have to build that segment. All of us will have to do that and focus to get somewhere. And of course, this is just a breakdown of, the Center for Excellence. We need also for potted plant, for floriculture. I'm talking about potted plants only. I don't want to get into floriculture. That's another domain. and direct flights from production hubs to several destinations with potential and creation of awareness dealing with IPR issues of the Indian floriculture sector. What we mean is we'll get more varieties to produce and export if the supplier is giving us. Today, because of our old reputation, we are 57 years old, they don't have any hesitation, and we also keep changing the colors every year so that it doesn't get multiplied and then it gets obsolete. After 1 or 2 years, the colors change, then the customer wants something. This is something that has happened, especially the last, how am I on time?
Yes, sir, please, sir.
Okay. This is something that we observed from the beginning of the pandemic. There's been a strong global awareness about plants at home and also for gardening, which is a great thing. We have children who are 3 years old coming into our company almost every other day. We have someone who's a PhD botanist, a mentor for them. So we explain to them, show them how to grow it. I mean, I think this needs to be done by everyone. You might trigger one child, like my dad was just, I think he saw his mother gardening all the time and it just picked up, and ultimately he just, that became a career path for him. Of course, non-conventional energy, it has to be sustainable. Then also an important point which we put was single window system for farmers with respect to finance and consultancy. Finally, I mean, this is just a brainstorming kind of talk. This is Mrs. Suman Kirloskar on a visit to our farm. All these bromeliads that originally come from South America, Brazil, etc., we've got several species that we've now standardized the growing conditions, and this is in Bangalore last year. So this is what I had to tell you, that it's possible and we must do it if we want to take the nation forward. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much, Santoshji, for an excellent presentation. My great tribute to your father, Manmohan Attavarji, we're all the fans of Manmohan Attavarji, who has brought up to this, and you are taking it forward. And one very important thing what I could observe is, I surveyed the whole ISTA laboratories of India, and this is one of the best ISTA laboratories that I could see in Bangalore at Indo-American Hybrid Seeds.
Thank you.
And the capacity building simply did not talk. What we do, simply we talk. But he did not talk simply. He actually practicing it. And a lot of capacity building, then vocational programs, and not only for India, but also to the other countries' scientists. That's a great thing, and we hats up to you, sir. Thank you very much for excellent presentation.
Yeah, we helped Tanzania to get the ISTA certification. We got them lab set up, we trained them, and right now we are training Bangladeshi company now. They are coming to us. So what I'm saying is more companies need to get involved, and then that way we all do benefit here. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.